Airbnb is dead in 2026 if you're doing rent to rent. And before anyone rushes to the comments, I make over 30k a month from my Airbnb properties across the UK right now. This video is not about hate. This is a mathematics and law video. Because look, two things happened this year that quietly killed the rent to rent model. And most people teaching it either haven't noticed or they've noticed and they're still selling you the courses anyway. So in this video, we're going to be discussing what rent to rent promised, the two things that broke it, and the model that's replaced it for people who are actually doing deals in 2026. So stick around because the last part is where the money is. So first, let's be fair about what rent to rent actually was, because it did work. The pitch was simple. You go to a landlord and you say, well, look, I'll pay you a fixed rent every single month, guaranteed for the next 3 to 5 years. That's compelling. You know, whether the property is full or empty, you're going to get paid, Mr. Landlord, and I'll handle everything else. Then you put that property on Airbnb, and the difference between the fixed rent you pay and the money the property brings in from Airbnb is your profit. Clean, simple, and for a few years, roughly 2019 to about 2023, it genuinely worked. Demand was booming, supply was low, landlords were relaxed, and the gap was wide. So if you tried it and it worked back then, you were not stupid. If you're trying it now and it's not working, you're not stupid either. The model just changed underneath you. And here's how. On the 1st of May this year, the Renters' Rights Act came into force. The biggest change to renting in England for almost 40 years. And every single part of it makes rent to rent harder. But let me just run you guys through it. Section 21 is gone. No fault evictions has been abolished. Fixed term tenancy agreements, they're gone. Every standard tenancy is now rolling month to month. So a tenant can leave whenever they want with just 2 months notice. So in the normal rental world, the idea of locking anything in for 3 years is just over. Taking rent in advance, that's banned on new tenancies. The eviction threshold for mixed rent has now gone from 2 months to 3 months. And every landlord now sits on a national database with more compliance, more inspections, and bigger fines than ever. Now put yourself in the landlord's shoes. You've just lost half of your old powers. You're more exposed than you've ever been. Your solicitor, your letting agent, they're both telling you to be careful who you let anywhere near your property, because if something goes wrong, that can come back on you, Mr. Landlord. And then you get a little 25-year-old who sounds like they just watched the course, and they turn up saying, landlord, hand me your keys, sign a long-term contract with my brand new company, and trust me, the rent is guaranteed. In 2021, some landlords said yes to that. In 2026, that is the hardest pitch in UK property right now. Landlords have been burnt by rent-to-rent operators. You know, people who vanished when the property got quiet. You know, the nervous landlords say no. The smart ones say something that I don't want to repeat on here. The law didn't ban rent-to-rent, but it did something worse. It made landlords too careful to say yes to it. Now, here's the second killer, and this one is aimed at you, not the landlord. The average UK listing on Airbnb now sits at around 45 to 55% occupancy. Half the nights are empty. Now, remember what rent-to-rent is. A fixed payment every month, no matter what. So you have a slow January, the property does 40% occupancy, the landlord still gets their full rent on the first out of your bank account. You get 2 slow months in a row, and people are now paying landlords out of their 9 to 5 wages. I've literally watched this happen. And there's a second problem hiding in the mathematics. The whole model only works if the landlord accepts a below market fixed rent so that you can keep the difference. But look at what landlords are dealing with. They're dealing with higher mortgage costs, more compliance costs. Landlords in 2026 are squeezed from every side, and they're actively looking for ways to make more money from the property, not less. So rent to rent in 2026 is asking that nervous landlord to take less money for more risk from a stranger, while you also carry a fixed rental cost regardless of performance. That's not a business model. That is a trap waiting to happen. So there's the funeral right there, and here's what's replaced it. Everything that killed rent to rent points at the same answer. Stop guaranteeing and start partnering. Here's how it works. The landlord brings the property, you bring everything else, the setup, the listing, the pricing, the guests, the cleaning, the systems. You run it as a proper short-term let business, and instead of a fixed rent, you share the profit. Now watch every problem that we've just talked about disappears. The landlord fears, that's gone. You're not asking them to hand over control to a stranger for less than the market rent. You're offering them a share of a bigger number with full transparency. They see what the property makes. When it wins, they win. You know, the squeezed landlord who wants more money, this is the only model on the table, you know, that actually offers them more than a standard tenancy, not less. That's why these conversations have never been easier to open than right now. That law that killed rent to rent is the same law that's pushing landlords to look for exactly this model. And your risk on a quiet month is gone. You have a slow January, it just means there's smaller profits for you. Nobody's paying the landlord out of their wages. This is the exact model that I use on my own properties. It's honest and it's what landlords actually want to hear in 2026. Now, the obvious question is, well, how you actually find these landlords and what you say to them. The exact structure I use, how the split works, how I open the conversation, it's all inside my free 30-day Airbnb launch plan. The link is going to be in the description below and it's completely free. It is the exact same system behind all of my own individual deals. So let's answer the question properly. Is Airbnb dead in 2026? Airbnb? No. Rent to rent? Absolutely. The law made landlords too nervous for it and the mathematics made it too dangerous for you. But partnering with landlords in a year when landlords are desperate for a better answer, that door has never been more open. So grab the free 30-day launch plan below, and if this has saved you from paying $5,000 for a rent-to-rent course, then click that subscribe button right now. I'll put out new videos every single week on building a real Airbnb business here in the UK, and I'll see you on the next one.